The patients at Ashwood Psychiatric Hospital have started drawing the same thing, all 47 of them. Different rooms, different diagnoses, different levels of psychosis, but every single one is drawing the same creature. And 3 days ago, we found it in the basement. My name is Dr. Octavia Parra, and I'm a forensic psychiatrist. I've spent 15 years working with the criminally insane, the violently delusional, the minds that break in ways most people can't imagine. I thought I'd seen everything. I was wrong. Ashwood Psychiatric Hospital sits in rural Oregon, 30 miles from the nearest town. It's a facility for the most severe cases, patients who are too dangerous for regular psychiatric care, too broken for prison, too sick to ever leave. I was brought in 6 weeks ago to evaluate the patients after the previous psychiatric director had a breakdown. Dr. Ramona Henson, 20 years of experience. She walked into the director's office one morning, barricaded the door, and started screaming that they're coming through. Security broke down the door 4 hours later. She was catatonic, eyes wide open, staring at nothing, whispering the same phrase over and over. Stop drawing them. Stop drawing them. Stop drawing them. She's in a different facility now, heavily medicated, still whispering. I should have known something was wrong the moment I arrived. The hospital was too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, wrong quiet. The kind of silence that feels like something's holding its breath. The orderlies moved through hallways with their heads down, not making eye contact. The nurses spoke in whispers, even when there were no patients nearby. And the security guards, I counted 8 of them, all looked exhausted, like they hadn't slept in days. The administrator who hired me was a woman named Zelda Huang, 70 years old, clinical, efficient. She met me in the parking lot instead of her office. Dr. Parra, thank you for coming on short notice. You said it was urgent. What happened to Dr. Henson? Zelda looked at the building. She started believing the patients. Believing what? That something was wrong with the hospital, that the building itself was sick. That's not uncommon in institutional psychiatry. Transference, projection. I know the terminology, Dr. Parra. I've run this facility for 40 years. This is different. She handed me a folder. These are drawings from our art therapy sessions. Look at them. Then tell me if you still think this is transference. I opened the folder. The first drawing was crude. Crayon on construction paper. A childlike representation of something with too many limbs, standing in a doorway. The proportions were wrong. The limbs bent at impossible angles, the body wider at the bottom than the top. The second drawing was more detailed. Charcoal on white paper. The same figure, but rendered with disturbing precision. You could see the texture of its skin, if it was skin. It looked like melted wax, smooth but dripping. The third drawing was different, watercolor, almost beautiful in its execution, but it showed the same thing, the same impossible figure, the same doorway. I flipped through the folder, 20 drawings, all variations of the same subject. Who drew these? Different patients. Schizophrenic, bipolar, dissociative identity disorder, PTSD, severe depression. No common diagnosis, no interaction between them. They're in different wings. Art therapy sometimes produces similar imagery, archetypal symbols, collective unconscious. There are 47 patients here, Dr. Parra. All 47 have drawn this. The ones who can't draw describe it. The nonverbal patients point at the walls when they see it. When they see it? Zelda's expression didn't change. That's what they say. They see it in the hallways, in their rooms, standing in doorways, watching them. Shared delusion. It happens in institutional. I know what shared delusion is. I also know what I saw 3 days ago. She pulled out her phone, showed me a photograph. It was taken in what looked like a basement, concrete walls, exposed pipes, and in the corner, barely visible in the low light, was something that matched the drawings. My blood went cold. What is that? That's what we need you to find out. My first day was interviews. Patient 1, Bentley Correa, age 34. Diagnosis, paranoid schizophrenia with violent tendencies. Committed after killing 2 people during a psychotic break. He was calm when I entered, sitting in his room, staring at the wall. His walls were covered in drawings, the same figure, hundreds of times, drawn in every medium available. Pencil, crayon, marker, even scratched into the paint with his fingernails. Bentley, I'm Dr. Parra. I'd like to talk to you about your drawings. He didn't look at me.
It wants us to know it's here. What wants you to know?
The manifesting. That's what we call it. Because it's manifesting, becoming real. Where did you see it first? In my dreams. We all saw it in dreams first. Then it started appearing when we were awake. In the corners, in the shadows, getting more solid every day. What does it want? He finally looked at me. His eyes were bloodshot, ringed with dark circles. It wants to be born. We're the womb. Patient 2, Imani Harding, age 52. Diagnosis: severe depression with catatonic episodes. No history of violence. Voluntary admission after 3 suicide attempts. She was more coherent than Bentley, but her hands shook constantly. You're the new doctor. Yes, I understand you've been drawing. We all draw it. We have to. If we don't draw it, it gets angry. Angry how? It comes into our rooms at night, stands at the foot of the bed, just stands there, breathing. You can hear it breathing even though it doesn't have a mouth. How long has this been happening? 6 months, maybe 7. It started small, just a feeling, like something was watching. Then people started seeing it in dreams. Then the dreams started bleeding into waking life. Dr. Henson tried to stop it. How? She tried to get everyone to stop drawing it. Thought maybe if we stopped acknowledging it, it would go away. But that made it worse. People who stopped drawing started having seizures, violent episodes. 2 patients died. Died how? Imani's hands shook harder. Their hearts just stopped. And when they did the autopsies, they found something. What? I don't know. They wouldn't tell us. But Dr. Henson saw the reports. That's when she started screaming. I interviewed 12 patients that first day. Different backgrounds, different diagnoses, different levels of lucidity. But the stories were consistent. 6 to 7 months ago, patients started having nightmares about a figure standing in doorways. The figure had no face, too many limbs, and moved in ways that defied physics. As weeks passed, the nightmares became more vivid, more detailed. Patients started waking up with the feeling they weren't alone. Then people started seeing it while awake, just glimpses at first. A shadow in peripheral vision. A shape in the hallway that disappeared when you looked directly at it. But over time, it became more solid, more persistent, more real. Patients who tried to ignore it got sick. Patients who tried to fight it had violent episodes. The only thing that seemed to calm it was acknowledgement, drawing it, describing it, confirming its existence. It was feeding on their attention, or, more terrifyingly, their acknowledgement was bringing it into existence. That night, I stayed late reviewing files in the office that used to be Dr. Henson's. The walls were covered in notes, scribbled observations, theories, desperate attempts to understand what was happening. One section caught my attention. Timeline. Month 1, first nightmare reports. Month 2, multiple patients, same dream. Month 3, waking sightings begin. Month 4, physical evidence, footprints in empty rooms. Month 5, first death, patient 23, cardiac arrest. Month 6, second death, patient 31, cardiac arrest. Month 7, entity photographed. Month 8. We were in month 8 now. Under the timeline was a single question, written in red marker, underlined 3 times. What happens when it fully manifests? At 2 a.m., I heard screaming. Patient 14, Scarlett Hansen, was having a violent episode. 3 orderlies were trying to restrain her. She was clawing at her own face, shrieking about the doorway opening. I sedated her. When she finally went limp, I saw what she'd been trying to scratch off her face. There was nothing there, but she'd torn deep gouges in her skin, like she was trying to remove something only she could see. As the orderlies carried her back to her room, I noticed something. Her drawings, the ones covering her walls, had changed. The figure was no longer standing in a doorway, it was stepping through. I went to the basement. I shouldn't have gone alone. I should have waited for morning, brought security, been rational about it. But something pulled me down there, a need to see, to understand. The basement was older than the rest of the hospital. The original building, constructed in 1947. The upper floors had been renovated, modernized. But the basement remained untouched, concrete and exposed pipes, and the smell of mildew and something else, something organic, rotting. I followed the smell. At the end of a long hallway, I found the room from Zelda's photograph. The door was open. Inside, the walls were covered in drawings, not made by patients. These were different. Older, faded, some of them dating back decades, all showing the same figure. This wasn't new. This had been happening for years, maybe since the hospital opened. In the center of the room was a drain. The smell was coming from it. I knelt down, shined my flashlight into the drain. Something moved down there, something large. I stumbled backward, my flashlight beam sweeping across the walls, and I saw it. In the corner, standing, exactly like the drawings. Too many limbs, body the wrong shape. Skin that looked like melted wax but moved like muscle. It didn't have a face, but I could feel it looking at me. I ran. I made it back to the office, locked the door, tried to breathe. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold my phone. I called Zelda. I saw it. I know. What the fuck is it? We don't know. But we know what happens if we try to close the hospital. What? We tried. 6 years ago. State inspectors came, said the building was unsafe, ordered it closed. We started transferring patients. She paused. Every patient we transferred died within a week. Different causes. Heart attacks, strokes, seizures, but all of them died. And the ones who survived the transfer long enough to reach other facilities, they brought it with them. Brought what? The manifesting. Other hospitals started reporting the same phenomenon. Patients having the same nightmares, drawing the same figure. So we stopped transferring patients, and it stopped spreading. You're saying we can't close the hospital. We're saying the hospital is a containment facility now. The patients aren't sick, they're hosts. Hosts for what? Something that's trying to be born. And they're the only thing keeping it from fully manifesting. I spent the next week researching, not medical research, not psychiatric literature. I went deeper. Folklore, occult studies, accounts of similar phenomena throughout history. I found patterns, prisons where inmates reported seeing the same ghost, asylums where patients shared delusions that manifested physically, hospitals where something in the building itself seemed to be alive. All of them had something in common: collective trauma, concentrated suffering, minds under extreme stress, confined together, their fears and psychoses interweaving until they created something new. A tulpa, a thought form, an entity born from belief, given substance by attention, made real through collective will. The patients at Ashwood weren't crazy. They were creating something, feeding it, giving it form, and it was almost ready to be born. I presented my theory to Zelda. So what you're saying is, our patients are accidentally summoning a demon. Not a demon. A manifestation of collective psychosis. A tulpa. An entity that exists because they believe it exists. That's insane. Is it? You've seen it. I've seen it. It's real. But that would mean... it means we can't cure them, because curing them means removing the belief. And removing the belief means the entity will do whatever it takes to preserve itself. The deaths. The deaths. It's defending its existence. As long as the patients continue to believe, continue to feed it with their attention and their fear, it survives in a state of partial manifestation. But if they stop believing, it manifests fully. Or it kills them to protect itself. Either way, we lose. Zelda stared at me. So what do we do? I don't know. Things got worse. Patients started reporting that the manifesting was communicating. Not with words, with feelings, emotions pushed directly into their minds. It was hungry. It wanted out. It was tired of existing in the threshold between real and unreal. And it was learning how to manipulate its hosts. Patient 9, Prakash Sutton, tried to burn down his room. Said the manifesting told him fire would free everyone. Patient 22, Bristol Case, attacked an orderly with a pencil, trying to draw the doorway on his skin so it can come through properly. Patient 31, Emmett Bell, carved symbols into his arms. When I asked him why, he said, "It showed me the language. This is how you open the door all the way." We were losing control. At night, I started hearing it too. Footsteps in empty hallways. The sound of something heavy dragging across floors above me. Breathing outside my office door. I wasn't a patient. I wasn't supposed to be vulnerable to this, but the manifesting was getting stronger. and it didn't care about diagnosis or professional boundaries anymore. It wanted everyone. One night, I found a journal in Dr. Henson's old desk, hidden in a locked drawer. The final entries were barely legible. Day 47. It spoke to me. Not words, feelings, hunger, need, want. It's growing, fed by fear and attention. Can't stop patients from drawing it. When they stop, they die. But when they continue, it grows. Catch 22. No solution. Day 51. Tried to burn the drawings. It appeared in my office. Real. Solid. Touched me. Its hand was cold. Not temperature cold. Existence cold. Like touching the absence of heat, of life, of meaning. Day 53. It's in my dreams now. Showing me what it wants. It wants to be fully real. To walk outside. To touch the world. It showed me what happens then. Can't write it. Can't think about it. But I saw. God help me. I saw. Day 55. I understand now. We're not treating mental illness. We're containing something. And containment is failing. It's learning, adapting, getting stronger. Soon it won't need us anymore. Soon it will be real enough to exist on its own. Day 56. Going to try something. Going to try to destroy it at the source. The basement, where it first manifested. Where the drawings are oldest. If I can disrupt the foundation, the journal ended there. That was the day she'd been found screaming in her office. I made a decision. If Dr. Henson was right, if the basement was the source, the anchor point where the manifesting first came into existence, then maybe I could still stop it. I gathered supplies. Salt. Folklore said it disrupted spiritual entities. Sage. Traditional cleansing. Gasoline. Practical. I was going to burn the room, destroy the original drawings, cut it off at the source. I went to the basement at 3 a.m. The room was different. The walls were wet, not with water, with something thicker, darker. It dripped down the concrete, pooling on the floor. And the drawings had changed. They weren't showing the manifesting anymore. They were showing me, standing in the center of the room. Me, surrounded by fire. Me, screaming. It knew what I was planning, and it was ready. I poured the gasoline anyway, covered the walls, the floor, the old drawings, struck a match. The room erupted in flames, and something screamed. Not a human scream, not an animal scream. Something else. A sound that existed in frequencies that hurt to hear, that made my bones vibrate, that felt like it was coming from inside my skull. I ran. Behind me the fire spread. Smoke filled the hallway. Alarms screamed. Sprinklers activated. I made it to the stairs, looked back. The manifesting was standing in the flames, not burning, just standing there, watching me leave. And it was smiling. It didn't have a mouth, but it was smiling, because it realized something I hadn't. The fire wasn't destroying it, the fire was cleansing it, burning away the last barriers between partial and full manifestation. I'd made it stronger. The hospital was chaos. Patients were screaming. Orderlies were running. Security was trying to evacuate. And in every hallway, in every room, in every corner, it was there, fully real now, solid, touchable, no longer bound by belief or attention or collective will. It existed, and it was hungry. I found Zelda in her office. We need to evacuate, now. We can't. You know what happens when patients leave. They're going to die anyway if they stay. So we choose. Let them die here, contained, or let them spread it to the world. She looked at me with ancient, tired eyes. This is why the hospital exists, Dr. Parra. Not to treat, to contain. We're not a hospital. We're a prison. For something that should never have been born. I made a different choice. I went to the intercom system. Broadcast to every room, every hallway, every corner of the hospital. Attention all patients. This is Dr. Parra. What you're seeing is real. The manifesting is real. It exists because you believe it exists. It's fed by your fear, your attention, your acknowledgement. But belief is a choice, and you can choose to stop believing. All of you, together, at the same time. Stop feeding it. Stop acknowledging it. Stop giving it power, and it will cease to exist. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, in the silence, I heard a patient's voice from down the hall. "It's not real." Another voice. "It's not real." Another. "It's not real." A chorus of voices
Spreading through the hospital. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real.
and the manifesting screamed. It fought back, appeared in front of patients, solid and terrifying, touched them with its impossible hands, breathed its non-breath in their faces. But they kept saying it. "It's not real. It's not real. It's not real." And slowly, impossibly, it started to fade. Not all at once, but piece by piece. The details blurring, the solidity becoming translucent, the presence becoming absence. The patients were unmaking it, withdrawing their belief, starving it of attention, choosing, collectively, to stop giving it power. And it couldn't survive without them. By dawn, it was gone. The hallways were empty. The shadows were just shadows. The fear was just fear. 47 patients, 43 survived. 4 died during the manifestation, heart attacks. The manifesting's last attempt to preserve itself by eliminating those who stopped believing. But the rest survived, and more than that, they improved.